Day 354. I knew I would get to this point where I would have to come to terms with my fate of being a busy, broke college student. So, I've had my desired retention rate at 96. And it's been honestly completely fine. Been completely fine for me. And honestly, I'm glad I've had it like that. It's kept me in check. However, last night was one night in a long time where I wasn't able to do like any cards. I did 3 cards just to keep the streak, but I had to do a lot of other stuff related to my job. And I told myself that once I have any day like that, then that would probably be the time where I would start transitioning down lower to a 90, just so that I don't burden myself with only doing cards, especially if there are days where I am trying to complete my cards and I just have to do a lot more cards to a point where it's taking away from my immersion. The reason why 96% desired retention rate for me was not an issue is because if there was still time in my day to get in more immersion time in general than my Anki time, then that would be completely fine by me. And the more immersion time I have, I want more Anki time to sort of, bounce off that immersion, and especially vice versa, right? Like if I'm doing a certain amount of Anki time, I want to also do more immersion time because immersion is what matters, and then my Anki sort of builds off of that, right? But now in times where I'm not only not going to have as much immersion time, but probably not going to be able to have as much active immersion time, setting aside time for these Anki cards, I could probably be, even if it's just 15-20 minutes of active immersion, it's probably better to kind of have those valuable minutes of active immersion instead of just cramming the Anki cards. So I would be fine with keeping it like this, but I also just fear there will be nights where I just won't be able to do the Anki cards, and then I don't want things to pile up, and then I'm here for hours, and I don't want to get to a point where I would rather do immersion, but I'm kind of stuck on doing my Anki cards, and there just kind of won't be a good balance. So I'm debating if I want to fully put it down to 90, because I also do like having a lot of like the cards and words on the forefront of my mind, and 90 does still like feel like kind of like a far like interval for me. Like I do like that constant, like I do like those intervals, those higher intervals, because it's like, for me, it just like reflects like real life, like what you're gonna get in real life. Like you're gonna encounter like these, the top 10,000 words every day, right? So it's important to have close intervals until you get them. If you don't get them, you just have to memorize them, right? It's kind of the difference between like getting a word, every like 3 days, and like it's a very common word, and you're struggling with it, and you're constantly like putting it on hard or good, but you're still getting it like pretty consistently, at least like 2 or 3 times a week, versus that card you're struggling with, but you do it hard or good every time, but you're just barely remembering it, and you get it maybe once a week. So that's kind of like the difference for me. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'd just like to have more time. And yeah, that's kind of it. I think based off of what I said, I'm probably just gonna put it down to 93-ish right now and see how I'm feeling about like the different, I'll kind of see how the curve goes and how much like I manage for the next week, and then I'll probably eventually go down again. It's just right now I am still in a position where, although very busy, I still do push myself to devote time to the cards and to immersion in general, and I feel like I can still pump out a 92 to 93 range. I think that's like completely fine. Like, and that wouldn't be like me like pushing it, because on good nights, like doing like 96 isn't like it's not like overkill for me. It's just like completely fine. It's just like standard minimum. Like especially if it ends up being 30 to 45 minutes a day, like that's fine because I've already, done a lot of passive listening, like just between like gaps of time that I have in the day to get that listening in, so it all builds up. But on days like yesterday, where I sadly just didn't have those times where I had to be attentive at work like every single second, and I had to get a lot of last minute things done. It's just like kind of like not possible. So I knew that this wake up call would happen, but it is always very different when it does actually happen, because you experience it for real. So you're confronted with it. So I just know that's not realistic, and it sucks because I personally enjoy having the 96. I know that for a lot of people, and honestly for most people, it's probably going to be more of a hindrance than a benefit. But for me, especially where I was at with my Chinese, although it wasn't bad, I just really wanted to take that next leap forward. And I feel like the 96 really just put me in check of like, I either have to be disciplined or like I'm just gonna like I either have to care about it, like I have to put it at 96 to see how much I truly care about it. And if I actually am motivated, then I'm gonna stick with it. And if I'm not, then all my cards are just gonna pile up, and that's just gonna speak volumes to what I actually want. So I have like, for the whole summer, for now, I have like put in like all the time to do all the cards that I need to at 96 for this whole time. And I've been very proud of it. Although some days it has been hard, I've been really glad. I'm really glad that I did it. So I think it is now time for me to go down to 93, and we're gonna see how things go. But for now, and I know it also doesn't change immediately. It takes time for the cards to fully adjust. But yeah, I'm gonna get done all my cards now. I have close to 250, and I will get all of them done. I'm gonna do them. Yeah. I also will say that I also feel like I am getting at a point in my Chinese where it's funny because I just had a whole rant about how much I still do like prefer having like the immersion time more than the immersion time. I feel like I'm at a point where I feel like the passive listening isn't really doing a lot for me anymore. And I would kind of like feedback on this if literally anyone's watching on, if this is, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Because I feel like having a lot of like active input has always been the better thing, obviously. But having, active immersion now for me just kind of feels like pure entertainment. And a lot of times I'm not even sure if I'm just like focusing on the words, but more of like the content, but I still like understand what's going on. And passive listening now for the past week has been very confusing for me because it's hard for me to like focus, also because there's a lot going on. But I just feel like I'm almost like I'm over it in a sense, because then like I like focus in for like 2 minutes and like I can understand like everything that's like being said. Like it's not like like I can understand what's being said. And I guess maybe because like I'm not like directly seeing it, or because like I'm doing something else, then it like easily fades into the background. So it's a good thing that when I focus, that passive listening like becomes like active, because I feel like I can like understand and like follow along. But if I'm like slightly disinterested, then I kind of tune everything out, which kind of defeats the purpose of passive listening, because if you're not listening, it's not passive, it's just background. It's like white noise. So yeah, that's kind of like where I'm at right now. So I'm still gauging that, but that might be a good thing. It's just like, it's kind of crazy that I might have to go out of my inertia of like always like wanting to reach that 4-day, mark of immersion, and like, 2 hours passive, 2 hours active, because maybe I just don't need that anymore, So we'll see. I'll keep testing things out and going. Before the 1 year mark hits, we still have about 10 days, 12 days. So, all right, thank you so much for listening. It's been your favorite Black American, Guandonia, learning Chinese, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Keep grinding, as I will right now, and 都记吧兄弟